Tee off on the Turkish Riviera, Europe's premier golf destination. With championship courses in Belek and Antalya, luxury all-inclusive resorts and year-round sunshine, it is the perfect getaway under the Mediterranean sun. Play immaculate fairways designed by golf legends, then unwind beside stunning beaches and 5-star hospitality. Search Turkey on TripAdvisor now to book your ultimate golf holiday in the Turkish Riviera.
I wrote a little song to remind you, Choice Hotels get you more of the experiences you value. The Cambria Hotel's got it all. A rooftop bar, have a ball. Bring a date, your squad, or even your mom. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
Yes! Yes! A Lego set is a gift that always clicks. And clicks. Ooh, ooh, and clicks. For kids who love to save the day, choose a Lego set. A gift that always clicks.
Hello everyone and welcome to your Matchday episode of How the Podcast. It's Gav and you join us today on the day of Sunderland's game in Nashville against Liverpool. It's not a Premier League game, although I imagine the powers that be who organised such an occasion would like this to be a Premier League game. But it's a good little warm-up for what's to come, I would say. You know, playing a relatively strong Liverpool side in the heat in front of what will probably be a largely Liverpool support in the stadium at Geodis Park. And we're going to chat all about that today. First off, we've got James Nichols with us again. Hello, mate.
Hello, Gavin. How's it going?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm good, mate. I'm good. And also with us is Andrew. Hi, mate.
Hello, Mara. Hello, everyone. I tell you what, I wish I was at this Geodis Park because it looks the part. Like it looks a good ground, doesn't it?
Well, a lot of these grounds in the US were used for the World Cup. I don't know if this one was.
No, I think this is football specific. This one, so it's
Right.
slightly too small for
Yeah.
the World Cup. But if anybody gets chance before kickoff, take a little look. It looks like a proper ground, you know.
Yeah. I'm just looking at now. 30,000 seat capacity stadium used by Nashville SC of the MLS. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting game, this, because and people are probably sick of me saying this. Preseason games, they matter for some things, but not all the things that a normal game matter for, right? And this is just a warm up. It's two decent sides getting their minutes into their legs and all the rest of it, and all those other cliches. But I don't know about you, James. I quite like playing Premier League teams in pre-season. Like, this is fairly new to us. I know in the past we've not done it that often. I remember playing Spurs and Man City under Di Canio in a tournament in Hong Kong, and that was horrendous because of the pitch mainly and the conditions. But I just think for the pace of it, we're going to play some foreign teams in this pre-season. So, you know, we're not going to solely exclusively play other Premier League teams, but I think just because of the stage we're in pre-season, it's good to set the pace. And I like the fact it's in front of a big crowd. It's not like in front of a couple of thousand at York or a couple of thousand at the Stadium of Light, which the Rons game will probably be played in front of. But I seen you kind of shrug your shoulders. Do you not agree? What do you think about these games?
From a market and commercial perspective, you have to agree, really. It's a big opportunity being in the United States, being in these sort of Premier League occasions, which bring in a hell of a lot of foreign eyes into the game. That's basically what we're catching up on massively with any other team in the Premier League because of the recent history of the club. From a competitive point of view, it's probably a very good preparation for the squad. I mean, you're playing, for the most part, obviously they've got a lot of players missing, which we'll get onto, but for the most part, there's a lot of Premier League ready footballers, which is just very good preparation. But from a traditional sort of who I want to actually play point of view, I hate playing Premier League teams in pre-season personally. Like, imagine if we get stuck in like one of these Premier League tournaments in like Asia, where it's a horrible kickoff time and we end up playing the Mags or something in pre-season. Like, it would just be absolutely horrific. Thankfully,
Can you imagine that? By the way, it wouldn't. That
uh,
I think that's one where the club would have to be like, "Nah, we're not doing that. Come on, doesn't matter for how much
they'd,
money."
li- they'd literally have to veto like organising it. Like, we'd probably have to pull out. I mean, there's rumours that Newcastle pulled out of this exact tournament with Leeds, Wrexham, and Liverpool because they didn't want to get shown up. Like, I don't know how true that is. I've heard that on the grapevine. I can't remember where from now.
I hope it's
Um,
true.
it would be great. It would be funny if it's true, but I think even if it's not, like, I think one of the two clubs would have to veto it. Like, like, I don't know if it would be like, well, yeah, there would be hell on because there will be fans travelling over and we do hate each other. But no, I think, and thankfully it's not them. And we're probably playing two of, in recent times, the most supported American clubs, Liverpool with their rich history, and then Wrexham with all the bandwagon people for the documentary and such. But I don't know, I just don't like playing English teams or Premier League specifically teams in pre-season. I like personally going, playing a local team or two, going to some little ground not too far away, and then personally, I like playing foreign teams. Like last year, I thought it was great. Good that with the tour that we had in Portugal the year before when we were in southern Spain was Alicante. That's personally for me is what I would like from pre-season. But objectively, it is better preparation for the players playing Liverpool than it is playing like a Spanish second tier team.
Yeah, we're gonna get to play all of these foreign teams this season, anyways, man. I know we are two of the English teams, but you know, I want to keep the foreign team special. Where do you stand on it, Andrew? What's your kind of take on playing English sides in pre-season?
It does feel a little peculiar. And I mean, I don't even like it when we play against a team from the same division in the cup because I just think, well, it's a bit of a shame. There's no novelty factor to the game. So it is a bit peculiar that we're playing against a side we know. I suppose, though, that it might make it easier for the coaching staff to judge where the players are at because they at least know Liverpool and what to expect from Liverpool. Perhaps if you're playing a team that you're unfamiliar with, you don't know. Have you played well because the opposition are weak or because you're in good form? It's a bit hard to work that out. But lots of other Premier League clubs are doing it. So there must be a benefit to it. There must be a reason why this is happening all the time. I think last weekend, didn't Man United, I think we might have spoke about it on the pod, Man U played another English team in Helsinki, something like that. There was some random collection of teams playing in a country abroad. So there must be a reason to it. And sadly, it's not just about the fitness. It's not just about the team spirit. As James says, there's the commercial aspect to it as well. Gav, when you spoke on your pod to that fella from the Anfield Rap, it made me realise while Sunderland are a big club in our eyes, compared to the likes of Liverpool on the international market, we're nowhere near them. Usually, a Sunderland pre-season game, Sunderland fans would outnumber the opposition by quite a figure. Not today. Liverpool are going to have more fans than us. They're going to be the big attraction. They're going to be the one whose everybody's eyes are on. And if we want to compete with them and get that level of exposure, we're going to have to play other Premier League teams in pre-season. It's just one of the many ways we can grow the club and hopefully get a bit more money coming in.
Yeah. The other team, by the way, that Man United played were Wrexham. There you go.
Oh, was it Wrexham?
Yeah, Wrexham won 1-0. Sam Smith scoring the goal in front of 20,000 people. Wrexham they're a bit like the Harlem Globetrotters in pre-season, aren't they? They just get sent all over the world to play whoever. It's mad. I still can't get my head around that, James. The fact that, I know we're going to play Wrexham in a few weeks, so we'll talk about this more, but like I kind of get my head around that, like the fact that they've just grown in popularity. But I think Andrew's right. Like, we are going to be vastly outnumbered, and that might add to the sense of occasion for the players. And Wilson Isidor's been quoted, hasn't he, as saying, we aren't treating this like a friendly. We're playing Liverpool. We want, basically saying we want to win. We're going to give the game some respect. And I quite like that. You hear that from one of the players. You see that this is obviously going to be a crowd largely made up of Liverpool supporters. And yeah, it's a friendly, but it might have a bit more intensity about it. It might have the pace of more like the pace of a regular game if the conditions kind of make it so. So I think it could be quite an interesting little game, this.
Yeah. Funnily enough, Wrexham, they mentioned Wrexham are like the Globetrotters. Their first pre-season friendly was in Krakow. So they've done some travelling because they've been to Krakow to play Wisla Krakow. And for some reason, Wrexham were picked as like the team that Wisla wanted to play on the 120th anniversary of the club. And then they've went to play Man United in Helsinki. And now they're over in Philadelphia, New York, and Nashville to play.
Reckon that's streaming numbers, maybe. Like the team they're playing know that all these people are going to log in and watch Wrexham play, maybe. I don't know.
Potentially, yeah, because they are. I mean, I think if I remember rightly, Disney claimed, I mean, you can't really, all these private streaming services, you can't really believe their numbers because it's all like totally internal with no one to check on it. But Disney reckon that they think that the Wrexham documentary is at the most watched sports documentary ever. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest, just because of the story and because of who it's about ultimately. But no, I go
Phil Parkinson.
Yeah, it's about Phil Parkinson going back home to Philadelphia. But no, I think going on to what Wilson said, I remember sending that in the chat earlier, and I'm a big fan of that personally. Like, obviously, Wilson's had an absolute worldie of a summer. Like, he's came back. He's like, club immediately just Wilson front and centre. All the videos after his return, you can see him like smiling and happy and joking. Did you miss me? I missed you. And like playing laughing around with the players. And then when he says that interview, I think it was it was an interview with the Tennessean newspaper, the Tennessean, I think it was. And that whole interview was like, oh, you may come to watch Liverpool, but watch a bit of Netflix first, and you'll probably walk away from the match of Sunderland fan, just like look into their story, and that's really what it's all about. Then you've got someone like Wilson front and centre saying that, like what I think his exact words were as well. He said, you can't play with 20% or 30% in Sunderland. You've got to play every game at 100% because that's what the fans expect, and that's the weight of this heavy shirt. And then he went on to say, we're playing Liverpool. We're going to work hard. This is not just another friendly. We're not going to treat it like just another friendly. So hopefully that plays in with what we're saying earlier, playing a Premier League opposition, hopefully pretty fast-paced. The players are going to take it seriously. If you check the weather in Nashville, it's not ideal. So local time, it's a local time, 5 o'clock tomorrow. It's going to be 28 degrees, which is perfect for preparation. But there is like a risk of local thunder. And I think they've got an excessive severe heat warning in Nashville, like of an hour ago. So if it's the same tomorrow, then it's going to be a difficult test in terms of conditions, in terms of the pace of the game. But that's why Wilson's saying these things. The players are well up for it. And that's kind of what was said after the York game. It's just about driving standards. The result is inconsequential. It's like the opposite of tournament football. When you're playing tournament football, you don't give a shit about how you play. You just want the result. Whereas in this, in pre-season, you want to play well. You want to play on the front foot. You want to get stuck in. You want to drive your standards. You want to basically do what you want to do in the season now and prepare early for it. And ultimately, if you lose, you lose. Who cares? I mean, we lost against Hearts and Hull last season.
Yeah. Well, I actually said that earlier on something else I recorded, which isn't out yet, so you will hear us say this in a few days' time. But, to me, Andrew, there are no downsides to a pre-season game because if you get beat, you can write it off and say it's only about fitness. We got through the game relatively unscathed and the players got minutes in their legs, so you don't really care about losing. But when you do win, you take every positive from it. You're talking about the goals, the application, the commitment, and I just don't think there's an obvious downside. And just touch on something James just said there. Last week at York, we did see full commitment from big players, I would say. You expect it from the young'uns who are just trying to prove themselves. They're going to be chucking themselves at everything just to try and make an impression. But then you had Enzo Lefebvre, who, by all intents and purposes, could have just coasted through that game and still been the best player on the pitch. But he played like full tilt, and that was like, oh, that's interesting to me. That's the standards we're already setting in pre-season. And you combine that with what you hear Wilson Isidor saying about pre-season. I just think that bodes well. There's such a positive atmosphere around the club at the minute. The lads will have missed each other and they've come back in pre-season, having not seen each other for 4, 5, 6 weeks, some of them. and they'll be buzzing to be around each other. And you've seen it in the footage of the players on the plane on the way over. They're all messing around and playing games and playing cards and stuff. Like I've got a really good feeling going into this little tour that everything is shoring up right and our preparation's bang on. Like, we just look so prepared. Everyone looks focused. Everyone looks up for it. And everyone looks happy. They're doing it with a smile on their face. And I just think that's good.
Oh, you're dead right in that everybody seems to be well up for this. I agree in that in pre-season, really, there should be no losers in any of this. There should be no disappointment, because even if we do lose, that's not the main reason we're taking part in these games. Winning, though, does just give you a little boost. I mean, listen, I'm happy if Sunderland win anything. I mean, I'm pleased if the under-18s or the under-21s have won a game. So, yeah, winning a few games in pre-season is only going to help the mood. I agree with what you're saying, though, in that what we've seen so far at York, what we've seen so far on the video footage is everybody looks to be switched on and ready to go. And that just speaks to the mentality of the squad. We've got a lot of players now who are at a level that we're not used to seeing, but you only get to that level by driving yourself on. So we might have had players in the past who technically are as good as Enzo Lefebvre, just because you used him as an example. We didn't necessarily get to see it, though, because their standards weren't there and they weren't giving themselves the right fitness levels, giving themselves the right platform to show those skills. At York, the younger lads and the experienced lads all had their own reasons to want to play well. I think everybody came away pretty impressed with what Tutierov did. He obviously sees this as an opportunity to either attract scouts or put himself in the thinking of Labris, and we've since seen that he's got an extended contract out of it. So, there's the squad seem switched on and keen to get as much out of this as they can.
Yeah. I think jumping onto that switched on point and the mentality point, I was listening to the Overlap Stick to Football in America, and they had Tom Brady on with Keane, Righty, and Neville. And Tom Brady was kind of talking about, obviously, everyone knows who Tom Brady is, but quarterback for the Patriots, won like X amount of Super Bowls, was there 20 years. And he was talking about specifically like Bill Belichick and his time together. And he was saying like continuity's the most important thing in sport. So when you got the same players, the same coaches, and you can get really good at the nuances of the game when you drive in that culture. And he was like saying like, it's an easy thing to do to blame someone. And Bill Belichick's culture was, for 20 years, he said his mantra to players was, do your fucking job. No one else can do it for you. You have to do it. And I think his exact words were like, high performing environments to the hardest thing that you can do in sport to create this culture, to drive this culture. And you have to do it even in the lowest moments, or the most inconsequential moments, as you do when you play a Super Bowl, or like for us, Chelsea, the Mags, Europa League next year, whatever. And all the way through, I'm just thinking in the back of my head, like when he's talking to Flo Gazolfi, and he's like, every single player has to have the right mentality. It doesn't matter how good the player is, if they don't have the mentality, if they're not going to get into Sunderland's culture, like the historical culture, the working class social culture that we've got in the city, if they're not going to get into this high performance, this high standard culture, footballing performance culture that they've got at the club, they're not going to be signed. And everything he was saying, it's just like, it was like listening to an interview with Luke O'Nien if he was a multi-billionaire, very incredibly world-class, world famous superstar, because it's exactly the same things that Luke's saying. Well, he's maybe not a multi-billionaire, but he's went from West to Sunderland to Dr. Sunderland now, at least. but no, it was kind of moments like this pre-season is, it's the most important part of the rest of the season, even though every single thing that you do arguably is inconsequential. Ironically, like we all said last year how good Brobby was. Well, Brobby didn't play 90 minutes until January against Spurs. He only played like longer than 45 minutes 3 times in the entirety of 2025. He missed all of pre-season for us. And yes, he did have some of a pre-season at Ajax, but he didn't have one at Sunderland. And I know Ajax are a brilliant, very big club, but it's not Sunderland's pre-season. And what Wilson said, like when he was like talking about the performance coach and Shad Forsyth, like he was praising them so highly. We've now got a full pre-season with, well, Robbie missed the first 2 games, but you'd be here on Sunday with the other 7 players who were joining the squad on Sunday, but join the rest of pre-season. Yes, that's only 3 fixtures, but it's not just the games that you play in pre-season that makes it so important. It's every single day, your double sessions, you're bonding together, you're working together, you're traveling to America together, from America, traveling to France for the Lons game. Being together every single day, because that's not like that when the league gets started. The players will have a day off, a couple of days off, then they'll come back in, they'll do a light session, they'll stay in the gym, do some gym work. They'll not have like double session training sessions every single day in 30-degree heat preparation for the summer. Now Robbie's going to come in and he's going to like what does everyone always say about strikers? Like they might need a year to adapt, they might need a year to get used to the physical, like rigorous demands of the Premier League. Well, look at what he did last year. Imagine what he's going to be like when we've got Shad Forsyth and the performance cult team that we hired at the end of last summer for all of pre-season. All of these players working together, learning from that. And it's, for me, even though it's arguably the most tedious part of pre-season, because I can't imagine the players will love doing a bleep test every other day, but it is the most important part. So when we're talking about playing Liverpool and you hear someone like Wilson Isidor saying, we're not treating this like a friendly, that's exactly this culture. That's what Tom Brady's talking about. That's what Shad Forsyth has been brought in to manage. He's the performance manager, the head of performance. And every single little thing that you hear coming out of the club in terms of performance, culture, standards is just absolutely brilliant. So we're going to lose 6-0 tomorrow now, I said all that.
Tomorrow, he's done an ant, Andrew. He said tomorrow. Oh, no. Never mind.
I mean,
never
today,
mind. Were you going to chime in with something there, Andrew, quickly before we head off?
Yeah, just very quickly, when James mentioned Florence Gasolfi there, that's another thing that I think is going to be pushing the standards, because we're hearing from Labris and from the recruitment team and all of that the club are looking for real quality additions. So it doesn't matter if you were fantastic last season and that the fans love you or whatever. If you want to be part of this journey, you're going to have to work hard and knuckle down to keep your place, because the new faces who are going to be coming in the next couple of weeks, from what we're led to believe, are going to be top draw. So, that will also be pushing everybody on. It's not going to be a case of, we're just bringing in a few projects who are going to take the time. We're all under the impression, aren't we, that if we're signing somebody this summer, it's because they're expected to be a key part of the squad, and that's bound to make sure everybody's on their toes.
Absolutely. Well, let's go for a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to pick Regis Labris's teams for him, I think. So we'll see you in a few minutes.
If your business runs on 5 different apps, 12 browser tabs, and 1 spreadsheet that everyone's afraid to touch, it's probably time for Odoo. Odoo is an all-in-one business management software that connects every part of your business into one powerful, easy-to-use platform. So instead of wasting time switching between disconnected systems, your entire business works together in real time. Your team moves faster, your data stays accurate, and you can actually focus on growing your business. Let one unified system run your entire business. From the first opportunity to the final payment, everything works together in one place. Whether you're a small business or managing a large operation, Odoo gives you one flexible platform built to grow with you. Learn more at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
Sports Social Podcast Network, the biggest voices in sports. Let's take a look at some of the lineup. Fantasy Football Scout.
I've got a triple up on Arsenal. I've also got a triple up on Manchester City.
The Chronicles of a Gooner.
I've been really impressed with Morgan Rogers this season. I think he deserves the elevated status within the England camp.
The Wild Ones Cycling Podcast.
Cycling can reduce anxiety and depression and sharpen cognitive function.
All on Europe's biggest sport podcast network. Find your next favourite sport podcast. Search Sports Social Podcast Network and listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
Verified comparison at content.sport-social.co.uk/comparison. Find the biggest voices in sports on the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Like Planet FPL, the world where everything revolves around Fantasy Premier League, with me, Serge.
And me, James.
Where we bring you the best analysis of all the Premier League action and how it can help you beat your mini-league rivals and climb up the FPL ranks. Just search Planet FPL wherever you get your podcasts.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
Find the biggest voices in sport on the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Like Fantasy Football Scout. If you want to dominate your mini leagues and make fantasy football easy this season, then make sure you subscribe to our podcast for all the tips, stats, and analysis you need from Fantasy Football Scout's elite team of experts. All you need to do is search Fantasy Football Scout wherever you get your podcasts.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
Welcome back to How We're the Podcast, and something that's probably arbitrary in pre-season is trying to pick the team, but still, given that the squad is depleted, it's quite interesting trying to work out which ways things are going to be put together and how the halves are going to be divvied up and all the rest of it. I think it's important to note, by the way, James, that this is Liverpool's first game. Like us, they're travelling pretty light. They've got a relatively strong squad, you know. Dominic Szoboszlai is part of the squad. Jeremy Frimpong, the goalkeeper whose name's completely escapes now, Mamardashvili, I think is his name. He's there. Milos Kerkez, I think's there. Joe Gomez, Watari Endo, Harvey Elliott, Federico Chiesa. They don't have a striker in the squad. So they have still got a fairly strong squad, in my opinion, but a bit like us, it's not the strongest 18, 20 players, but still it's going to make for probably an interesting first 45, I would have thought, with both teams probably picking the best 11 that they can from what they've got available, and then maybe relying on kids in the second period, a bit like we did at York, I would imagine. Maybe we'll push the players to 60 minutes. Now they've already had 45. I mean, what do you think you'll do, Reggie, in terms of approaching the game? Do you reckon it's just a case of rinse and repeat with the same as York, or what? I mean, you mentioned the heat before, that could play a part, but yeah, what do you reckon?
He tends to like to play a first team and then a young team, generally. Like even last summer when we had such a depleted defence because Alderete hadn't joined up, Nordi hadn't joined up, Ronaldo joined late. Because of that, you would see like a defence of like one of the Joneses at right back, Harrison maybe at left back, Jayden at right back with Seals and Ballard in defence, or maybe because obviously then we had 09, Yelder and Sirkin all injured at the time, carrying injuries from the season prior. And he still tried to keep as many first team players together for continuity. So if you can try and guess a team, you're probably not far away from Elborg in goal, then a back four, something along the lines of Nordi, Ballard, Luke, Ronaldo.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
Brown, Hume, and Enzo in midfield because Tabi's visa has been denied and it's currently under appeal and he's not there as of yet. So probably going to see maybe Reggie on the wing with Wilson up front and then
Romain Mundle probably.
Mundle, yeah, obviously depending on Mundle and Ballard's fitness. I think Reggie confirmed that they expected to play a part today. They'll definitely playing a part at some point, either today or on Wednesday midweek. Hopefully the sooner the better for them. And then you could probably just name exactly the same another 11. Now, Patterson's inclusion is an interesting one because after the York game, Reggie all but confirmed that he basically hadn't travelled because he was sorting out an impending departure from the club. Now he has travelled, so is that departure perhaps not as close along as we thought it was, or perhaps is the team that he's going to maybe the team that we're playing in Philadelphia in a week's time? Don't know either way. Obviously, Wrexham are highly linked. They're probably one of the only clubs in England that would A, afford him for what we want, combined with B, actually wanting to sign him. Like, he's not going to go to a Premier League side. And then your likes of your lower championship sides won't pay what we want, which is apparently, if I think the Echo reckon 5 to 10 mil, which would be a damn good return, to be fair. So does Patterson play, or is it Simon Moore? You would assume it'll be Patterson because he's travelled. But then is it more because you don't want to risk Pato getting an injury and thus losing that money out and every little helps with SCR? So perhaps Simon Moore to come on at half time. Then defence will be made up of Sealt, Kjelder, Archie Lightfoot, maybe Ben Kinden may play a part. You might see then Jack Whittaker, Jaden Jones in the middle with, again, very similar to York, Tutierov, Proctor, Dinsdale, maybe Trey Ogunsui up top or Garaguzian up top. I mean, Tutierov, obviously, we went straight into Mundell there. Personally, it would be great to see Tutierov play. Like, he was really good against York. He signed his new deal. I don't necessarily think that the new deal was maybe as a direct result of the York performance. You really can't imagine that it took them a day to negotiate that. It was probably already in the offing, and then that's just kind of put the final nail and like final seal of approval on it. Like, yeah, definitely get the new deal. Because I think he needs. Well, he was in League One last year, wasn't it? Exeter got relegated to League Two. So at the very least for him, you want him to get minutes and get, at the very least, a very top end League One competitive, good footballing team. Ideally, though, if he can get a championship move, that would be massive for his development. So, yeah, I think he'll probably split it. I mean, last year he did sometimes play some experienced players with the younger lads, but that was really only because they were pushed out of him preparing for his first 11. He'll keep that starting team as strong as possible, and it'll only get strengthened once the players are returning. Because I think, in case anyone's not seen the news, Wilson's obviously out his head's back with the squad. He was the only player not to get through the knockout stages of our 12-strong contingent. 7 players join on Sunday, and Diarra Siddiqui Masuaku, Angulo, Roofs, Brobby, and Adingra. I always forget Adingra. And I was saying to Andrew, little peek behind the curtain. I was trying to get the list of the 7, and I was like, I've only got 6. He was the last one. I kept forgetting Adingra because he obviously has been in Monaco, and then 4 more players in Talbi, Alderete, Mounier, and Shaka won't be going to America at all. They got the furthest, all got the quarterfinals on the last 16, and thus will be joining after we return back to Sunderland. That's an entire starting 11. Like that's 11 players that we're missing.
Yeah, well, that's completely right. I mean, just touching, Andrew, on the young players who've travelled. Obviously, there aren't as many players in this squad as that were at York, so it's been whittled down slightly, but still, we've got Jensen Jones, we've got Ben Kinden, Archie Lightfoot, Jack Whittaker, Charlie Dinsdale, Jaden Jones, Trey Ogunsui, Finn Garagusian, Tom Proctor, Felix Scott, and Timo Tutierov. I mean, who in that group, are you being someone who watches that team quite a bit, who in that little group could maybe do what Tutierov did the other day, and after this game we could be going, oh, he looks all right. You know, I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit more of him. Who out of that would you say stands out a bit?
Probably the lad who at York replaced Tutierov on the left wing, Dinsdale. You know, we saw he was really tricky and created the goal for Proctor, which was like seconds after York had scored. He's a player I really like, and I think they all have good futures ahead of them, but I think he's a player I'd like to see a bit more of at this level, just to work out how far away he is from it. He might fancy his chances of another assist or something like that. I think it's really important, Gav, for all of those players to make the most of this. We've gone through the names who are going to start joining up with the squad in the next couple of days, and then who's going to be potentially involved when we go over to France. Somebody was telling me last week, funnily enough, it was Rob Mason. In the Europa League, you can name up to 12 substitutes. So 1 or 2 lads might just be looking at that and thinking, hey, listen, there is going to be an opportunity for me. If I can do something in pre-season and show that I deserve to be around this group and be part of it, even if it's only on the fringes, even if it's only as the 12th substitute in a Europa League game, well, that's going to be massive for me. So it's great that Wilson Isidor is talking the talk and saying that he's treating it as a serious game. I think all of these young'uns as well, they'd be daft not to want to really try and take any minutes they're given and show what they can do.
Yeah. Is there anyone in particular that you'd like to see a bit more of, James?
Well, it's an interest. I was reading today that James obviously there's been links of Abdullah potential impending exit to, I think it was Turkish transfer people talking about it, which to be honest, it's you take that with a pinch of salt at the best of times.
Yeah.
But James Copley's put on a notebook on the Echo today, kind of doing a little bit of a deep dive into Abdullah and why it's not worked out for him, and that he is in talks with Turkish league sides, Eyüpspor. But it kind of speaks volumes where they think about Abdullah.
Andrew's laughing for the same reason I think I am. It's just every time I see that name, I just think, hey, up. Is it in Yorkshire? No, Turkey.
I've got no idea how it's pronounced, but you've got to just read it phonetically in that way. You don't really know. Just go in and jump in and hope for the best. 2-footed words and hope that you get it. But no, I think because of that, because Abdullah is probably leaving, don't know if it's a loan, don't know if it's permanent, perhaps permanent at this stage. I mean, he's not played a single senior appearance for the club. So because of that, obviously they've went with Ogunsui and Garaguzian, and Garaguzian's one that I'm really interested in seeing. Now, Ogunsui needs a good loan. He went on loan to Falkirk last season, didn't really get much of a look in, and then spent the second half of the season in League One Shrewsbury. When he was at Shrewsbury, he only scored twice. It was twice in one game, and turned it around to win in that game. And I would like, and Ogunsui specifically looked like he's using his strength more. Looks like him being on loan has taught him how to use that strength. Hopefully he can translate that from youth football to senior football, because as we've all seen, Lewis Hamir looked like Brian Brobby for the under-19s UEFA Youth League. And then whenever he played for us was just like the total opposite, just pushed off the ball, bullied off the ball in the Championship. So Ogunsui could get a good loan somewhere, but I'm excited to see the twin young strikers in him and Garaguzian. I think the Europa League's going to be a big one, because obviously we can name a B list of under-21 players, and you can basically change that every single week, add and remove from it every single week, and they can be included in your squad. They can be included on the 12-man bench. So yes, there's a good chance our squad will be limited due to lack of homegrown, trained at the club players. You just simply supplement that with younger players. This could be a huge opportunity for them, and I believe right now, I think there's work being done in the Stadium of Light on the dugouts, because we have to accommodate for the bigger benches for the 12 men to sit behind the coaches. So they're having to be forced extended by UEFA regulation. As just like a little interesting aside on that when we're talking about the young lads potentially getting on the bench.
Yeah. You know, I'm looking forward to seeing all of them. I don't, other than a handful of them, I don't know these players particularly well, even though I have watched bits, and I find it difficult under 21s football to the players like associating faces with performances and like that regularity of watching them. I just don't have that. So I think me and countless others who will be watching these games will be dying to just see somebody stand out. That was my favourite goal in that game at York was the Tutierov one, because it was a young lad like taking his chance, you know what I mean? And we talk about fitness, and we talk about all the sort of things that mean the most when it comes to getting the team ready for a Premier League game against Ipswich. That's the most important thing. But the aside to it is all these little side stories where things like, you know, young players emerging from nothing basically, and just maybe making a career for themselves at this club. And that them chances don't always come for young players. And like the fact that we've had so many players at this World Cup has given so many opportunities. And if that was me, I'd be so motivated to do something and just be that player who everyone's talking about coming out of these games.
Yeah, it could really be Garaguzian, to be honest. I mean, he's 18, just about to turn 19. He's 6'3", 6'4". Like, he's built like a shit brick house, to be honest.
A shit
he's
brick
already
house? Quite like that one. You've just done a Chris Wynn.
It was on purpose. It was on purpose, but I think it sounds better accidentally.
Okay.
So he's actually already played senior football for Armenia. Now, Armenian football's kind of in the pits if no one knows. Like, there's the Armenian like top division's got like 10 teams, and 7 of them are based in Yerevan. Only one of them's any good. And even then, that's like not even National League North level. So basically, they're desperate for like naturalizing players and finding players of the Armenian diaspora. And Garaguzian's grandparents are Armenian. That's probably why he's already played, because they're trying to jump in before he gets like an England shout, because he's born up in the northeast. But because he's already played that level of football, that's actually quite exciting. He for me could be really ready, and I think he's maybe too young for a loan. I don't think loans always benefit a player. I remember Duncan Watmore going on loan to Hibs and just coming back with like a myriad of injuries and barely playing. Riggs developing really well without going on loan, because we've provided him a pathway. Hopefully the Europa League can provide someone like Finn Garaguzian a pathway, because he looks, when you see him and you go down to Appleton and watch the under-21s, he just looks ready for men's football.
Yeah.
And I thought he struggled a little bit against York in terms of out ball and getting the rest of the lads in the team when the new players came on. But he more than held his own against, I mean, he was playing up against Jack Hunt, is it? Who's played like, he's 35, 36, played like championship football for a decade, give or take, championship and League One football. So he's playing against a very experienced opponent, granted, bigger drop off in league position now, and held his own against him and performed well. So I'm really looking forward to him personally. I hope he gets some minutes, but obviously now with Wilson coming back and then probably coming back on Sunday, his best bet's probably now.
Yeah. Well, anybody want to watch the game tonight? It kicks off 11 o'clock UK time, 5 o'clock Central time in the US. Streaming passes are priced at £8 on the club website, so if you'd rather put your money in the club's pocket instead of some dodgy Fire Stick blokes, then send yourself that way and buy yourself a streaming pass for the game. Looking forward to it. I can't wait. Yeah, it's just nice to watch Sunderland play. I'm not there in person. I wish I was, but all the same, I am looking forward to this game. And afterwards, I think you're both on the reaction, or is it just you, James? I can't remember, but some of you are mad enough to be staying up for this game anyways, which is the main thing. Martin, it's obviously normal time for him, so he's going to be bright as a button and brighter than everybody else. Hopefully he's talking about a Sunderland win, but I just need to say thank you very much, gents. Been a pleasure, as always.
Thank you.
The thumbs up. Andrew, people can't see the thumbs up, so you should announce it and just say thumbs up, Gav. Absolutely.
But thumbs up, Gav. I was trying to be professional. I didn't want to cut across you by me just going, oh, cheers.
To be fair, that's all I do. That's all I do. I cut across people constantly. It's probably my worst trait, but that's the ADHD. Anyways, thank you very much, gents. Thank you to our listeners for joining us. Like I say, we'll be back after the game. We've got plenty for you to catch up on. If this isn't enough for you, there is loads on our feeds. We've put an episode out every single day over the summer, and we're going nowhere as we build up to the new season. All your matchday content is over on rotareport.sbnation.com, and you can find us at Rota Report on all your favourite social media channels. There's also a pod, which I did the other day. I want to give another plug to, where I spoke to 3 fans who are all Americans based out in the US, going to watch Sunderland in person, some of them for the first time, haven't ever been to Sunderland, all have connections with the club for great reasons and tell their stories. And I just want to give that an extra plug because that was a bit of a special one to do ahead of all of these games. And we've also got the opposition preview, which I did with Anfield Rap. Nearly forgot it. The Anfield Rap came on and done a pod with us. So if you want to hear a little bit more about how Liverpool are getting on and what they think about this game and all the rest of it, listen to that. Just leaves me to say thank you very much, everyone. We'll catch you up later on. I said tomorrow. Later on, we'll catch you on the reaction pod. We'll see you then.
Tee off on the Turkish Riviera, Europe's premier golf destination. With championship courses in Belek and Antalya, luxury all-inclusive resorts and year-round sunshine, it is the perfect getaway under the Mediterranean sun. Play immaculate fairways designed by golf legends, then unwind beside stunning beaches and 5-star hospitality. Search Turkey on TripAdvisor now to book your ultimate golf holiday in the Turkish Riviera.
Find the biggest voices in sports on the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Like Not the Top 20 podcast with me, George Elliott.
And me,
Ali Maxwell.
Join us on our podcast about the best football leagues in the world, the EFL. Want football to be like it was back in the day? No VAR and so much drama. Search Not the Top 20 and listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Sports Social Podcast Network.